Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime Magi Adventures of Sinbad. And I think that this was okay. I didn't outright dislike it because I liked the other previous Magi ones, but this being a prequel and only having 13 episodes definitely had the problem of pacing that the other ones had as well. Because this is telling us the whole story of Sinbad and kind of how he became the King of Cinderella, even though it ends before that, and I would hope they would do it more because Sinbad was one of my favorite characters from watching the Magi series, and it's cool to see more of that going on. My biggest issue, of course, with it is essentially pacing. We go from Sinbad being born to being 16 years old and having about half of his 8 generals in 13 episodes. Now, I know that there's got to be a balance between like filler and really quick storytelling. But I think that this would have been better if it had been fleshed out a little more. Now, granted, I don't know exactly how much depth the manga goes into with what's going on, but it just felt a little bit too fast. I'm like, oh, okay, baby Sinbad. We see his beginnings in the Partavia Empire. We see that his father was a war hero. He lost the leg, and he's a fisherman. And seeing him be born and everything, and we're like, no, we see that he was blessed by the Rook early on, being able to navigate through a lot of different choices in life, just being able to see, like, feel out the waves as a sailor. Or since he's Sinbad the sailor, but it's kind of cool being shown how he was able, not how he was able, but at a young age he was able to tell when a storm came upon him and his father when they were fishing to go this way and all that. We see that the Partavia Empire is trying to conquer and conquest and everything, and everybody is pissed off that his father won't join in and fight and everything, and it's like, okay, that really kind of sucks when you fall into that kind of society where it's like, oh, okay, his father doesn't care about it, and Sinbad's like, why don't you fight them? And that's not worth it. We get to a point where we see this one dude, they take this one guy and he's telling Sinbad all these stories and everything, but he was a spy for the Rem Empire and took Sinbad hostage. But of course, his father kills the guy, and in retribution, the army sends him to the front lines, and he dies, only sending back his sword. Sinbad then grows to be about like 14 years old, and he's taking care of his mother and all that, just being the smart-ass womanizer kind of dude. You could kind of compare him to a young Alibaba, but more of his head on straight. I mean, yeah, he tries to get with the ladies and everything and kind of shows off, but I think they still balance it out more than like, oh, we're just watching Alibaba all over again. We get this definite Sinbad flavor to it. Well, one of the Partavian generals pretty much comes and says, you gotta go conquer this tower, this dungeon. And he's like, but see, Sinbad had made friends with one of the Magi, Yunnan, even though he doesn't know that he's a Magi, taking him to his home, letting him stay in his house a couple days, but his mother's sick, so he's been taking care of his mother and trying to get jobs to do that. Well, Sinbad gets information from Yunnan to actually go and conquer the dungeon, and he goes to do it at the same time as this Partavian general. And it's going all bad because everybody they've sent into to claim this dungeon has died. And they've sent like thousands of people in. And of course Sinbad goes in first, but he sees that time is not exactly the same kind of thing in there because he meets the Partavian general in there as well. And he gives him the nickname of Drakon. It's like, oh, that's Drakon. Alright, that's cool. And they kind of do some things. Sinbad takes out one of these like head dragons, and they go on through and they fight. Sinbad wins and obtains the power of the dungeon. And he's the first dungeon capture. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then it kind of dovetails from there. We get like 1 to 2 episodes of him and the Inchuk tribe getting to meet Hinahoho, even though that's not his name yet because he's got to kill this giant narwhal kind of dragon thing to prove his manhood. But it's never brought out that Sinbad's the one that kills him, so he tries to go and capture the dungeon that's there, where Sinbad's got to go in to save him. But of course, Drakon and assassins headed by Jafar try to stop him, but try and get in to get Sinbad. So they all kind of clash, and there's this one sorceress involved that's part of the Altharman kind of, well, she pretty much is, but it's never like explained, but she's part of it, and using the black robe makes the assassins kind of turn into a demon, so they all three have to fight, but Sinbad doesn't want to kill the people. He's able to get through it and stop them from fighting them and being in their demon form, though Jafar's still being kind of corrupted. He reaches in and is able to stop his corruption and then gets the next power from that Jinn. And it's like, oh, alright. And we get a little bit of stuff at the end. Hinahoho's still pretty much put on the warrior thing, even though he's didn't really do what he was supposed to do. And marries this other chick, so I was like, okay. And Drakon goes off because he needs to go save his love, who's married to his brother. But we get the information that he is one of the first people to have a household vessel. So, okay, that's interesting. We then see Sinbad is just deciding to become a merchant so he can build his own nation and become king and change the world around him. Okay, cool. So he gets a contract with the Inchuk people and then goes off to Rem to try and sell the goods, but you gotta go through all this stuff. That's where he meets up with Alibaba's father, the king of Albad. He kind of helps him out, even though he screws him over first. It is an important lesson that Sinbad gets screwed over as a merchant first so that we can learn all this stuff. But granted, he only gets screwed over once and learns his lesson. That's where my pacing issues come into effect. It's like, okay, you only have enough time to do one fuck up and then then you've got to learn the lesson, otherwise you don't have time to figure out the repercussions for it. So, okay. So it was cool to see them kind of bring it out because, of course, his new shipping company friends had to go back and get more things to sell here. So he's able to get enough gold and everything. He's telling all of his stories and using his Jin's powers to entertain the people, which was pretty cool. I kind of liked that story aspect that they presented up in that part. But he's got this like giant building for him. He's got everything set up and all that. So I'm like, yeah, alright, cool. So, and then go to Sasan to get a trade agreement with them. And he, of course, is trying to bring peace to the world and build a nation to change the world. Yeah, that's a pretty cool goal. And Sinbad isn't shown to be kind of, it seems like a simple enough goal, but there's enough nuance to it that he knows that it's going to be hard for him to do this. So it's not like, oh, we're waiting for the naivete to be like chopped down or whatnot. I understand that he's going to have roadblocks along the way, and he understands that as well. So his character is really well done. His generals, we get some delving into them, but this understands that Sinbad is the focus. So that's why I really give it to this series that is like, okay, you know that Sinbad needs to be the focus. You need to show him growing up and learning. I hate that it's expedited and that kind of lessens it a little bit, and also lessens the growth that gets around with the 8 generals that he's starting to gather, because the point of the prequels is to see who Sinbad is and who these 8 generals are, because 8 generals like that's a big kind of group of people, so I'd kind of like a little bit more information. Jafar's was good, Hinahoho's was good, Spear Guys is kind of interesting, even though it's kind of like, eh, alright. And then he's able to get them rallied together because, of course, he's only got a few episodes, but he gets a cool fight scene between the Spear Guy and his father. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. And we see the extent of Sinbad's powers and learning the Jinn equip and what he can do. It's like, holy shit. Now, it's only a little bit because he then gets to this other kingdom with that's a matriarchal society They got the big birds. Like, oh, that's where this one comes from. And that was really kind of funny because they didn't want to deal with men, and they felt that Sinbad and his group was disrespecting them. So they kind of kick 3 of them off, Spear Guy, Jafar, and Sinbad, naked into this fucking canyon. And they keep Hina-Ho-Ho up top because they've never seen his kind before, and they kind of want to use him. And the queen's like, whatever. I'll not be disrespected and all that kind of crap. And goes back. And just seeing how long they kind of live down there, and like eating snakes and all that shit, it's like, it was fucking funny. Because Jafar made this kind of quip, it's like, guys, you gotta put something on because we can't show those bits on screen. It's like, oh, I like those kind of things. Very good reference. And seeing how, Spear Guy was bringing up to Sinbad that they had to get out of here, and Sinbad's freaking hair turned into a question mark. Just those kind of little cool bits were just pretty funny. They're able to get back up, and Sinbad pretty much starts fighting the queen in a pretty good Jinn equip battle. She was actually going to use extreme magic. He's like, nope. And we get kind of more information on some of his other Jinns, but he's able to secure a business contract with them, and that's kind of where it ends up. It teases all the other generals and everything that would be brought in and other events going on around the world. But it was kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, it's only 13 episodes, and like, I want more. Now, granted, I don't need Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach levels of filler to lengthen out something. I just think that more depth could have been done because that's the whole point of these kind of prequels, because you want stories to be told. And Sinbad's story is central to all these 8 generals. Now, granted, do they need to take over? No, but I think we even saw it here. They got arcs. They were short, but I think a couple of arcs would have done a little bit better to be like, okay, I mean, there are 8 generals. You could have done 8 separate kind of arcs, even interweaving other ones into them and kind of piggybacking off of each other if you want to get technical. But I was like, that's my biggest issue with it. So if you really liked the previous Magi series and like that kind of balance of depth with action, this totally works. It's really fun, really cool animation, and just really fun characters to just kind of watch. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.